Okay, this is day 72 of 2024 and our adoption journey to Liberia. So I don't really know what to say today.
I'm just angry today.
Ooh, tell us about your anger.
It's like we've been here forever.
Jeremy anger is usually pretty impressive, actually. He's got a long fuse.
Just pissed off today. I don't know. Like it's hard for me to not just take it out on everybody just because.
Thanks for not punching me.
I wouldn't punch you. I punch the wall, maybe. Maybe I should do some punching.
Yeah.
Just like.
You did your jump around workout. Did that help?
Yeah, I did some cardio workouts. Just trying to get the blood going a little bit. The monotony is getting a little bit to me, I think. And just like the urgency to get our kids here and start the race.
Yeah.
Because we're not even at the starting block yet. So it's been angry today.
Well, and we just have more more. I mean, it's hard because since we're here, we're seeing firsthand the families that are experiencing the delays that we haven't experienced yet. Like they're getting sent back to U.S. immigration, where the embassy in Liberia, the U.S. embassy in Liberia, is just not helping them. They're just like, oh, we can't approve this. This is not clearly approvable, and they're sending these families. And so we're able to visit those families' kids and take some gifts to them and be, kind to them and try to offer them hope. But I think that it looms over us too, because we don't know why their cases are being sent to U.S. immigration and then other cases are getting approved. One of the other agencies with New Horizons, they're flying through. They're going through faster than they've ever gone through. So that's, but there's been years past where they've had delays, but then now they're not. And it's like rolling the dice and you just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I always felt like the U.S. Embassy here just kind of rotates their harassment. It seems to be our turn in the barrel.
Well, and then we have issues with the Liberian police not releasing their reports, and then the Ministry of Gender, although the Ministry of Gender has been kind to us, we haven't seen a lot of results from them. And we feel like we're having to diplomatically ask for everything that we need when really we shouldn't have to ask. Proverbs 22:22 says, "Do not exploit the poor because they are poor. Do not crush the needy in court, for the Lord will take up their case and will exact life for life." And I read that today, Proverbs 22:22. Clear. So when there's these long delays that prevent these adoptions from going through, and then there's people that kind of have their hand out for things, even legally so, where they're like, because they've talked about the previous administration basically was in charge of our reports, and now the new administration, they're not getting paid for the stuff that their colleagues didn't do. And so it's just this constant pass the buck thing. We'll have it to you then, or we'll have it to you. We got so much going on. And I'm a part of me is so frustrated by that. I'm just do your job. But here, it's not that simple. I did some research today on the statistics of salaries within Liberia, what people make annually, what the average person has to try to survive off of. And then, we're living here now in Liberia, and we're living in a hotel situation. We're burning through quite a bit of savings, quite a bit of fundraising money, quite a bit of grants. We're burning through it pretty quick. But just to live here conservatively and safely, we're cooking our own meals and stuff, is expensive, because it's just, you can't, there's not a lot of farmland that's being used here. The people are having to buy exported goods that are exploiting, so overpriced that it should be criminal. Colored pencils that would be 99 cents in the U.S. are $5 here. And they're just taking advantage of the poor. And you can tell me it costs a lot to get it here, gas prices or whatever. These people's gas should not be more expensive than our gas in the U.S. And it is. So I feel like there's a lot of evil powers that are exploiting the poor just because they're poor. And a good salary in Liberia equals $800 of U.S. But keep in mind, like, dollar for dollar, like, groceries here are more expensive than they are in the U.S. So, like, for us, and so for everyone here.
Yeah, most of
So-
the locals, I'd say they shop at like the street markets.
But even at the street market, you still can't live off of $1 a day. $3 a day, maybe. But I mean, we're obviously spending more than that to keep ourselves alive. Had an interesting conversation with there's there's like some vendors that are selling handmade goods that I really want to try to buy some and show them to you guys and see if anyone else wants to buy them. There's these 3 gentlemen, and they're clear-headed, sober-minded. They hand make these things. Makes me think a lot of the noonday artisans before they were noonday artisans. But these guys are just, and they take a while to approach us on the beach, but they'll come up to us and they're very, try to be respectful, but like they got to eat. And so I explained to them today, there's 3 of them, Gabriel, Opa, and what was the third one? Emmanuel? No.
Sorry, with Emmanuel, I didn't see today. I spoke with him before. It started with a P.
Prince, yeah. So I've told them they're very nice and they probably have families to feed and they look very skinny, like they're not eating every day. But they linger on the beach, and I did see them selling some things to tourists and on the weekends. And security guard was kind of sitting close to us too. So were they bothering us? I think you would ask. They're very nice. But I talked to them and I said, hey, we're here for an adoption, so we really don't have a lot of extra spending money right now. But we'll probably be here another month, maybe longer. But before we leave, I will definitely purchase some of your products. One of them does wooden statues, and he's like, I can do like custom for your family, The other one had some jewelry and some and then some purses and some bags, and then they are pretty cool, and I do like them, and I do want to support their entrepreneurship. But like these guys, I mean, they are skin and bones, like. And then I was talking to one of the guys. He surfs. He's a surfer. We call him. I think his name is Bill. There's James and Bill, and they're kind of the pool guys, and they watch out so people don't drown, And I asked him, he just sat down on the beach, and I was watching the girls kind of play at the edge of the water, and he's down there to make sure they don't swim because the rip current is too much. But I was listening to him. He was talking to me a little bit about his life, and his story is very common. But his mother was with a man and became pregnant with him, and the man denied him, basically said, oh, that's not my kid, which is apparently very common. There's no repercussions for it. Even when the mothers ask for child support or ask for support, these men will just say, oh, that's not my child, and no one holds them accountable to that. He said that initially when his mother got pregnant with him, her parents put her out because the father would not claim the pregnancy. And so she was just like a single mom. So she did not choose abortion, which is the thing here. She did not. And she kept him for a long time. Then she met another man, I believe married him. They had another child. So there were 2 children. And then he decided to join the police force here and then left her and would not give her any food or anything. So his mother eventually began to beat him and his brother. And so he ran away. At the time, the Elwa hospital, there's an mission organization that's since not, I don't think they have as much of a presence here, but 15, 20 years ago they did. And he was homeless and had made some friends with some of the white children playing on the beach. And because he was so small, they would share their food with him. So he was able to basically eat from that. I think he bought a fishing pole at one point. He learned to juggle, and he would get tips from juggling, like performing street type of performance. He would keep going back to the Elwa beach. Like he could sneak down there through the river. There's a riverbed you can go down and get in there because it's walled off. It's like a compound, but you can go through the river. And I'm sure there's treacherous things there, but that's where he would go. And he made friends there. Someone taught him how to surf at some point. An American, he just says white people, like that's just what they call us. But an American taught him how to surf, and then he could help other people learn to surf. And so now his job, he's 25 now, but he was 10 years old, abused by his mother, who clearly had a rough time, denied by his father and his stepfather, just denied him and his brother completely, starving, occasionally would catch a fish to eat, would juggle for money, and basically scraps for food from the snacks of American kids that maybe their families were missionaries. He did get to go to school for a little while with the Elwa program, I guess because he was just a homeless kid. Maybe they let him come to school. And he said he had a white woman that was their teacher for a little while, and he remembered that, but maybe just a couple years of education. He told me a lot while he was sitting there. I don't know why he just kept talking. I just kept listening and asking questions. Right now, his job is he works here at the resort we're staying at. He cleans up the trash. He keeps an eye on the Americans that try to surf. He can teach them to surf, and they'll give him a tip. But mostly,
Maybe
I think
should do that.
mostly I think the hotel, the leadership at the hotel is like, please keep them out of the ocean because obviously they don't want anyone to drown, and the rip current is pretty strong. He was telling me about how he knows. He wanted to ask me more questions about how Americans manage their trash and the trash pickup and whatnot, because that's his job, is to keep the beach clean. And the beach is clean. Nice guy, nice young guy, 25 years old, living in Liberia, feels blessed for what he has. But again, like, I want to give him a cheeseburger every time I see him. Like, these people are just so, like, even the adults, like, and this guy's pretty tough and strong. Like, he, obviously exercises and swims and stuff. But basically what's probably saved his life and kept him from starvation as a child is the presence of Americans here. So, so I told the guys that were selling bags, and some bracelets and jewelry and the beads and stuff. And it's very familiar to me because I know other countries that do this as well. And they make the products themselves. And I mean, what day do they choose to make stuff? And then what day do they choose to walk on the beach? Like, and they've seen us before. But I tried to make it a point to actually speak with them today and not just say I don't have any money, but just speak with them and say I'm here with doing an adoption, and I will hopefully have some leftover money that I can buy some of your products before we leave. We're just waiting on government officials to give us permission. I think the conversation was meaningful for them. 2 out of the 3 of them, all 3 of them were very kind and professional and appreciative of me just talking to them and looking at their stuff. And 2 out of the 3 said that they would pray for God to make a way. And that's what they say here, like, God will make a way, God will make a way, God will make a way. And I kind of wanted to follow it up with, like, do you know anyone in the police? Do you know anyone that can, but I didn't. Like, do you know anyone that can help? But I think it's important for them to see our behaviors and and hear me say, like, I'm an American woman, and you and I both know that I have enough money to probably buy. I mean, on me, like, probably in my purse, I probably have enough money to buy enough to sustain you for a month. With just my walking around money. But I wanted them to know why we were here and why we were being very cautious with our spending. But I wanted to honor the fact that I see them. I see that they're trying. I see that they're thin and frail, and I see that they're hopeful. And I see that they are struggling things that I've never struggled with. And we do come from a place of privilege, and we are frustrated that we're not able to do our adoption quickly. And we are angry with the injustices that we see that are exploiting the poor. And as I go through these waves of anger and frustration, and I think about the capabilities of God, and I think about how the poor and the orphaned and the widow and the single moms, like, they didn't enter into that relationship. Many of these women did not enter into that relationship thinking they were going to be single mothers. But that's what they end up being, the majority. And so do not exploit the poor because they are poor, and do not crush the needy in court, for the Lord will take up their case and will exact life for life. Exacting life for life sounds pretty stern to me and pretty fair. I'm certainly not going to exploit the poor because they're poor. I'm not going to be angry with men that are approaching me to get me to buy something as long as they're respectful about it, just because they're poor and uneducated and basically begging. But they're not begging. Like, they have a skill, they have a product that they're just hoping to market to me. That's better than begging. They're not to the begging point, I guess, but they're close. You can look at their bodies and see they're close. And I don't know, I don't want to feel vengeful against any government entity, specifically my own, and I don't want to have to. I want this story to be good. I don't want other families to be scared to come here because they think they're going to get sent to U.S. immigration, or because they think that it's not going to work out and they're going to spend thousands of dollars that they maybe don't have and come home empty-handed, when we're just all trying to give these kids a chance to not just survive. But here, it's just about survival. When I was listening to this kid talk about running away from home because his mom was beating him, and learning to juggle, and then learning to surf, and learning a little bit in school here and there when he could probably sneak into a classroom and blend in. And then I think about how disappointed our kids were this week because they didn't have the right shoes, and we're going to get them shoes. And people are offering to send us. I mean, I've got my Venmo account actually works. If anyone wants to Venmo me some money to buy the kids shoes, that'd be great. Because kids go through shoes quick. There's specific shoe, like it's like a specific brand and specific style that's supposed to be more durable. And so we're going to take care of that tomorrow. But I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of at a loss. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be frustrated. I want to be available to God for whatever he wants us to be here for. I want to buy from the vendors, you know. I want to support their business. I want to give them hope. I want them to eat. And I don't want to just give people money just and say, here's your money. I want to make, you know, relationships with them that are friendships, that are camaraderie, that, you know, is a good example to them on how people should be, how Christians should be, certainly how Americans should be. But I think today, like, both of us were just want to sit on the beach and, like, everybody leave us alone. But then I was happy to talk to those 4 gentlemen. And I was grateful for the security guard that was sitting behind us that I didn't really see until I kind of saw him, but, you know, because Jeremy went to take one of the kids to the bathroom. So it was just me sitting down there. But then, like, the surfer dude that works at the resort was there. These people are hungry for things. They're hungry for God. They're hungry for acceptance. They're hungry for education. They're hungry for food. So whatever needs we can meet while we're here, I think is an honor to be able to do. But
yep.
But I wish that I had better news about our adoption.
Yep, it's a Tuesday. Tomorrow's a holiday, so probably won't get much tomorrow.
I wish Jeremy wasn't in his angry phase. Although usually Jeremy's angry phase ends with some pretty good come to Jesus progress with somebody, but
it's just frustrating.
It's hard to know. There's
wasting
nothing we
another
can
day
really
away
do.
from our kids.
Yeah. And they were so sad not to get. That's why the shoe thing's so important to me, because I mean, I want to look at them and be like, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be out of here, and school here is not gonna be important to you come like 2 months from now or 1 month from now. But then I know how much they enjoy learning and how much a privilege it is to go to school here. So, like, we're gonna get their shoes so that they can all go. But that's a simple need to meet. But in the long run, it's like, I don't know. Like, when I was listening to him talk about just going to school for a short time, I thought, wonder if they policed your shoes.
Maybe.
I've heard, I mean, the way that, you know, it was explained to us, it's not so much they have to have fancy shoes. It's more just like the kids all walk to school and they want them to be safe. 15, 20 minutes.
20 minutes. We'll be done in a minute. Please be quiet.
What?
What? They're fine.
Our kids got to go to bed a little bit earlier tonight. They got to have more free time. They're writing books, their own authored books. And then one of them, my 7-year-old, put at the front of her book, author's note. I guess she's copying that from another book. I don't know. Apparently she's a math whiz too. Jeremy said she was being a math whiz today.
She has been.
They're ahead. You look pretty defeated.
Yeah. Just like all this, like, these thoughts that we can't do anything with. Just wait. It's maddening. And then there'll be more waiting when we actually get our kids here.
Well, and we still actually have that danger. Like, being sent to U.S. immigration used to not really be a thing with our agency. If it's not really happened hardly ever. But it's happening now, and we don't know why. Because typically it happens to, it'll happen in other adoption cases, but we're not super familiar with those. Some of those are complex cases where things just, sometimes it was a DNA test that didn't match up the way it should have. So I mean, I don't want to speak to those cases. I know that every case is complicated, but it's not something our agency has seen a lot of. And the thought is that, you know, kids that are truly, you have to meet the requirements to immigrate as an orphan that's been adopted. So you have to have been an orphan prior to your adoption in dire need to be able to immigrate to the U.S. That's one of the rules. So we can't just adopt anyone you want to as an American. They have to meet orphan status by Liberian law and by U.S. law to immigrate. And so there's some questions on whether or not some of these kids meet that status. Our agency has such a stringent screening process before they can even come in the door that that's why it's probably not been as common. But that's a speculation on my part. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So it's possible that we'll get all the way through this process and then U.S. immigration, and then the embassy will just send our case to U.S. immigration, and then that could take years. And there's not a lot of, there used to be kind of rhyme or reason as to why some cases went, some didn't, although not always. But in the last 6 months, we've seen 2 cases go and within our agency, and that's like, whereas before, when we first started this program, it wasn't even something that was discussed. I don't even know that anyone explained it to me. I think Devin knew that it could happen, but I don't know that anyone explained this part to me at all before we got down this road.
Feels like discrimination.
Because we're not going to adopt a kid that's not an orphan by Liberian law or U.S. law. So we don't know why these kids are true orphans that by Liberian law and U.S. law that have been sent to immigration, as are ours. So we don't know for sure why. Like, we just don't know. So we could be facing, we may truly just relocate to Liberia at the end of the day.
We'll do the domestic
We'll have to go
thing.
get our dog. We have to find a way to bring our dog over.
Yeah. Go sell our house. Or
Yeah.
rent our house.
Yeah, we can rent our house.
Anybody looking for a rental in Southwest Florida?
And thank you to Jennifer Tilson, who works with, she's our Fill the Box coordinator, and Tia, our neighbor across the street. They're working to get the clothes that are out of our garage. And the Hamilton family put some clothes in on that, so we'll make sure to give the Hamiltons some money too. Thank you for our Fill the Box recycling. And if you're in Tennessee, there's a family in Tennessee doing this. If you're in Texas, there's a family in Texas. The Davenports are in Tennessee, and they just got home with their daughter, but they still have mountains of expenses to pay. So if you're running out of Tennessee friends, let me know. I'll give you the Davenports number so that you can take some clothes to their garage. They can have weekly pickups with Fill the Box, which will help. They had to come to Liberia a second time, kind of unplanned. So, and they're also working on a China adoption. So, I think they can use all the fundraising they can possibly get. But yeah, so our neighbors and friends and other contacts we have our Fill the Box coordinators reached out to all of them on our behalf and is running a textile route for us in our absence, and
That's
then
really
just giving
sweet.
us the money. So, and I know probably 3 or 4 videos ago, I was just like, we need more help, we need more support, we need more encouragement, and we've gotten that, and I appreciate that from all of you guys. We have a lot of encouragement.
Yes.
It's just a hard road, and it's a road we chose. It's harder than we thought it would be, but that's just how it is. When you choose to be available to God and do something that's quite risky on the cover, then you're asking to be in these situations. And our job is to be as steadfast as we can possibly be, to be as consistent as we can possibly be, and to be unwavered by the attempts of the world to corrupt us on the idea that orphans need to be saved, just like we need to be saved. So,
You know, it's something interesting you said on the beach I haven't circled back to. You mentioned that there are areas or parts of Liberia you like more than the States even. And I think that's interesting. I gave that some thought. It's really like, it's not so much like, obviously the scenery here is a little different and lacking, I think, in some beauty. The natural stuff's really pretty, but the people here and their spirit and their like so eagerness to talk about God is really powerful. And it's good to be around those people that you're like, they're looking at you thinking God's going to make a way. And you're thinking, man, these people, they don't have a lot. They sure do have a lot of faith. It's really good. And I think we come from such a blessed nation. Maybe we take just our faith for granted. And I know I do that too, but
yeah.
It's just really good to see. It's powerful to see those people that are just, making it day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really, it's good to see and to take part in that with them,
One of the things I like about Liberia better than the U.S. in some aspects is that there's so much work here to be done that's simple. Like simple work. easy work, low-hanging fruit work. I mean, I'm dying to take a paintbrush to half the buildings here, and plant some flowers and get some landscaping or something. I'm not sure what the rainy season's going to bring. That maybe why they don't do it, but something. With these kids at the orphanage, we could spend all day, every day there and still come out of there being like they need more than we have. But like, there's just things I think here. I don't know if it feels like my efforts matter. Like it feels like the meaningful conversations I had with the 4 different gentlemen on the beach today, I feel like they'll take away. But then I feel bad because I'm like, I feel like those vendors were probably like praying that I would buy something from them.
Yeah, I mean, like I got Nelson texting me right now, checking on us, and he's got,
Nelson's got his own problems.
28 kids to take care of.
Yeah, and Albert's checked on us too.
Yeah.
But I think too, like, we've chosen to do something radically different than any other family's done. And we have another family here that's doing it with us too. The Bruce family's here.
Yes.
But we have stepped out in faith and in surrender that not that our adoption will be complete, but that we're supposed to be here right now, whether it's for our adoption or not. We know that we may leave here empty-handed, or we'll just immigrate. We'll just get work visas in Liberia. But stepping out on faith and doing something radically different than any other family's done with the permission of our agency, but I wouldn't say encouragement for them. I mean, it's like, you can go if you want to. I'm not going to stop you from visiting. Please visit. Bond with your kids. Give them hope. I'm sorry this has taken so long. Like, I get that. But it wasn't like, maybe if you go, you'll get what you want. We're not here because we want to get what we want. It's so close. Like, there's so many, the documentation that it would take for our kids to just live with us in Liberia is like, we're so close to that, that it makes sense to stay. But even if it didn't make sense to stay, I'm pretty sure you'd have to drag me kicking and screaming to get on the plane.
Yeah, because if I hear, like, you don't have to be here, if I hear that one more time, I'm going to scream. If I had the State Department say that to me.
We're Americans. We don't have to do anything.
Had other people say that to me, I'm like, yeah, no kidding. I know that.
But that's the thing. Like, that's what they don't understand. Like, we are Americans visiting a third world, like, very economically disadvantaged country trying to adopt 2 kids. We don't need the State Department to say, well, you don't have to stay. We don't
So
need
what
them
would you
to
do,
say
State
that.
Department person?
We don't need them to say that.
Would you look
to
at your
us.
Liberian daughters and say, well, yeah, I'm out?
Well, and to be fair, there's a lot of families that are now going to have to make 2 trips. You're going to have to. Like, that's just part of it. And that's okay. And that's what you're going to be able to afford. And that's what you're going to tell the kids. That's what we're going to tell the kids. 2 trips is fine. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do.
Sure.
And you can leave them in the orphanage till the 2nd trip. And that's fine too. They're safe there. And that may be less emotionally traumatizing. And that can be normal. You do not have to come live in Liberia like us and just wait. And yes, we have the blessings and the fundraising gifts really to do that. And we've tried to, we're all in. We'll burn through everything we have before we leave here. Just because nothing's moving. And if our presence can support these kids in this program while we're waiting, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, and then hopefully the people that come behind us, the freeze will be over and it'll be moving like it should be.
Yeah.
People that actually care about kids doing what they should do. So.
But, we're not here under any pretense that we're going to get what we want. We want something. Yeah. We want a miraculous, movement of paperwork and logistics, and we want everybody to just...
And integrity.
We want the door to open. But we're not here saying, because we're Americans, open the gate. We're not saying that. We're saying, we hear you have the door cracked. And so we're going to wait until you open it further, respectfully and humbly.
We have said our kids have been in this home for 3 years, and we've been working on this for 2. So anything you can do, be great.
But we are humbly and respectfully guests of Liberia, and grateful for that.
Yes.
So no one's wronged us. We came of our own accord with no promises. But you can't, I don't want to cry. I haven't cried in a long time.
Don't do it.
You can't expect God to do something miraculous if you don't put yourself in a vulnerable state for him to do so.
Yeah. You
just can't. Whatever that might be. Whether that's just filling out an application for the Liberia program and making Jimbo fall out of his chair because he's like, oh, people are still signing up. That's good. But you can't expect God to do miraculous things in your life if you're not available to Him and don't take some risks.
I keep thinking about the blessings we've gotten to get here, that God put the people in the right spot to bless us so we can be here.
Yeah.
So He's not going to take it this far and leave us. So I just had to keep hanging on to that.
Yeah. And just because, like, I mean, even if He does not do what we want Him to do, we're still going to be here. Because there's work to be done here.
I mean, I could totally rock a KK down the street.
Yeah.
Get in.
Those are so they're called tricycles.
TBS.
Tricycles.
It's one of the makers. I got to look that up.
TBS, yeah.
Like, send it to Devin.
I know. I'm like, okay, maybe our present for her, for taking care of Zeke, could be that we bring her a KK.
Can I put this on carry-on?
Because she wants it to drive around her farm. It's kind of like a 4-wheeler, only like a 3-wheeler. Like, think about like an ATV. But
Can I say something real quick?
Of course.
Think about this.
With a box.
Tricycles, or we used to call them 3-wheelers, are the most unstable vehicles known to man. That's why they outlawed them in the U.S.
Are they outlawed?
Yes, you cannot have a 3-wheeled vehicle like that.
That's motorized?
Yeah. They used to be very popular, the 3-wheeler. They call them a 3-wheeler.
Oh, okay.
And people they're so easy to flip. So we
outlawed. But 4-wheelers are pretty easy to flip too.
Well, right, but imagine 3-wheels is even worse. So
I wouldn't think it would be
worse. They outlawed them a long time ago. So if you have one, it's not been made in a long time. It's very old, because they don't make them anymore for the States. But now these guys go up and down, flying up and down the road, and
they flip over sometimes.
3-wheeler.
Oh, they'll fix them.
So yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was a little fun little segue.
I don't know that would be your employment option of choice, because
I get to be out on the road,
breathing
the fresh air. Or the air.
We gotta end this video.
Okay, I cheered up a little bit. Thank you for.
Jeremy always cheers up with the camera.
It's good to talk about. It's cathartic, I think.
You wanted to punch the vendors today, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I told Nelson I was frustrated, and he asked what happened. I got to tell him that it's nothing new. I'm just frustrated.
Just frustrated in general.
Yeah. See, friend Nelson's concerned about me. It's good.
You got some new bros.
I did. Sam.
We need somebody.
Dixon.
Another thing that's happened too is no government official or nobody's thrown us any bones. Even if it's a lie, for a while we're getting these lawyers. Everybody had we don't have a lawyer, but some of our other adoptive friends have them. One person has 2 lawyers for the same case, and then there's just legal things here. Legal counsel is just not that hard to get in Liberia, but we haven't seen any solid progress. And we don't think that the lawyers are lying, but we do think that they're getting information from different people that may not be reliable. And so it's but it's, even if it's just never going to happen or not true, it was a little easier when we kept getting those bones thrown at us. Maybe it's tomorrow, this day. And now there's no more bones. So.
We were living vicariously through those attorneys. So. But
those attorneys, they're just not getting anything. They're powerless against this, other than basically to tell us.
Be a fly buzzing around and be a harassment.
They're little nuggets of we think this, or we speculate that, or we talked to this person and they said that. Those have died off this week. So, but again, we're not here for people to roll out the red carpet for us. We're trying to adopt 2 little kids, and
they should roll out the red carpet for the kids, in my humble opinion.
I was thinking too, and I texted this to some friends of mine today, that sometimes I think that this group of the families that have kids there now, a lot of us have gotten really bonded together. Specifically, 5 or 6 families have gotten just really connected, and it just makes me wonder what these kids are going to do when they're grown-ups. What are they going to do? Because will they stay connected to each other because we're connected? What is it that the evil forces in this world is so concerned to blockade this? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like this program has been easy. There's no reason. Nobody's done anything wrong. But all of a sudden, there's this big blockade. And it just makes me think, Satan's just throwing rocks. This one place. For what? What is it that they're going to do?
I think maybe he's had such a foothold here, he's just trying to keep it.
There's some legacy traumatic loss. A legacy of traumatic loss, death, and disease, and just traumatic awfulness that run in these kids' bloodlines for generations. And
Yeah.
when we adopt them and we take them somewhere else and we give them the freedoms that they should have here, but they just don't have the economic support, there are just mountains being moved in ways that we can't see as parents. But we are more connected. I think this group of parents adopting from Small World are more connected as a team than any other group of parents that's ever come through. And although we're more connected because we're dealing with this conflict of trying to get this throughput going together, trying to support each other while we endure it, it's still, when Satan tries to attack something, a lot of times God's building a bigger team. So.
Team adoption.
Yeah. And these kids are really close to each other too. Like, if you have a waiting kid and you're matched and you haven't reached out to us or whatever, there's a couple of kids that I know have families that haven't really talked to their parents that they're matched with. And they may just not want to. I don't know, maybe they don't want me to talk to their kids, or maybe they're just in that waiting phase of like, or maybe they're not on like social media or not in those chat groups. I'm not sure, but I think I've heard all the names of all the kids that are matched. But like, these kids are bonded to each other in this orphanage. So like, if you haven't reached out or you're scared of the adoptive families or you're worried about, the kids are connected. So if you want to stay connected with us, we're certainly here.
Yes.
Still longer than I wanted it to be.
You ready for me to make you some dinner?
I'm not hungry.
You want to miss biscuits?
Ooh, yeah, we don't have an oven.
Biscuits would be nice.
So day 72
Yep, it'll be 100 in no
of
time.
2024. So 72nd day of this year.
You know, we need to throw in the countdown of number of days in Liberia too. That'd be nice.
Oh, can't do that.
72nd, 31st. I don't know if that's right, but
I think that my heart has been entrenched in Liberia for 7 years.
it's true.
That's a funny thing. I have a counter for Blessing's adoption.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
it's like a lifetime.
it's the longest counter I have. Okay, so Blessing's adoption began Saturday, February 27th of 2016. When Liberia was closed, they changed the law and reopened in 2016. 2,936 days.
Wow.
I don't even know how many years that is. Eight years. It's a long time.
It is a long time.
She's home, so
We're not still waiting.
she lives in Tennessee. She's home. But that's how many days since we started pursuing Liberia for someone,
Yes.
not just ourselves. Almost 3,000 days.
Thank you,
A
Jim.
lot of days. I don't even think I knew where Liberia was in February of 2016. It's right before our 7-year-old was born. So
Sweet. I need to learn to surf though. That's my new thing.
it's not safe for you to surf here.
Well, if we had a life jacket,
No, you're not even taking the antibiotics anymore for malaria. So like, you can't.
it hurt my tummy.
Yeah, weak. All right, that's long enough.
All right, bye.
Bye. I love you.
Love you.